Okay, so we've got a couple more students we're still waiting on, but we'll go ahead and get started because I have Anca here from Trifan Events. So you presented at, what event was that?
It was Women in Leadership at Boise Center.
One of my employees, Jessica.
Yeah, she actually joined that. That's
yeah,
right.
She loved her presentation and was like, you should really try to get her to the class. So here she is, and she's got
in flesh and bones.
Yeah. Yep. Got a presentation for us. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and get started.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and sit up here too.
All right. Well, first off, thanks for showing up. You know, it's like anytime there's somebody new, you're like, what is this all about? And I want to give you some opportunities to take it maybe to the next level, especially when it comes to your future, to your career. You're going to get out there, depends where you are right now in your student journey, but you're going to get out there into the real world and you're going to have to prove that what you learn in school, it's applicable to the real life. And right now, in the last few, 10, 11 months, we have had this revolutionary craziness happening in our world, which is being AI. And unless you lived under a rock, you don't know what that is, but really it's been impacting business, it's been impacting our productivity, it's been impacting everything that we do. I mean, I literally use ChatGPT to build my menu, like what am I going to eat tonight? Because I'm also very much concerned about my macros. I'd be like, this is my macros for tonight, and this is what's in my fridge. What can I eat tonight? So there's so much that we can do with what we have. My goal today is to just give you a few options. I don't want to overwhelm you with too many because, to be honest, I'm more like of a person that send me into a store and tell me where that one black blazer is, and I'll go and find it. Don't send me to Target, H&M, or all the other places because I am done for. Give me just a few options and I'm good. So with that being said, really quick introducing myself, and I forgot my clicker, so I have to be tied to this. My name is Anca Platon Trifan. I've been around for a little bit. I'm only 25, but don't do the math on actually how long I've been doing this. I have a production company that it's called Trifan Events, woman-owned and operated, and I'm proud of that because in the AV production field and technology, there's not a lot of women-owned companies that are thriving. I'm also into bodybuilding. I've actually just had shows, and the last one was 3 weeks ago, and I took home a first place and a second place. And I'm the host of Events Demystify podcast, which is running the current season, Eventful AI. Those are actually conversations that I have with top-level professionals and AI specialists that are going into depth as to what's coming, as to what we're in the middle of. And some of those conversations are really taking it like out there into the stratosphere of what the future might look like. It's mind-blowing. I mean, they're way smarter than me, and I love to have those conversations because it gives me this overview of like what is this world that we're living in. And if you're interested, connect to that. And I'm a nerd at heart. I graduated in computer science, and this was back in Romania, in case you're wondering, where is this accent coming from? Well, apparently, when you move to US after 16, you're going to stick with your accent. So that's that. And with that, here's what we're going to do. I would love for you to get on this QR code because I want to find out a little bit about you, what some of your pain points are, or maybe what is your experience with AI. And then I'm going to have one more question. The first question that you're going to see over there is add some words to describe where you're at in your journey when it comes to AI related topics. And while you're doing that, I am going to look at this other page to see what I've got. Results, okay. Schedule creation, okay. Love it. Generative design, okay. You guys are really like taking it to the next level. I do have to start with this a premise. I'm not a engineering major. The closest I got to engineering is sound engineering because that's my background. Actually, I'm a sound engineer by trade, and this was before I started my production company. And just fun fact, I actually got to mix for Michael Jackson when he was still alive and a few other fun A-listers like Britney Spears and Fergie. And that was fun. That was back in my days in LA before I burned out. So let's see. I will tell you right now that we're going to touch on a good amount of those with some of the things that I have prepared. And probably I'll stay out of the patent law because that's a whole dinosaur in itself that I won't have time to touch on. And let's see, I love CAD design, but I do not have anything prepared for that. Guess what? You're giving me ideas as to what I can work on next. So that if we're going to have a follow-up, we're going to work on that. All right, so there's one more question that's going to pop up, multiple choice. What top AI tools have you already used? And I mentioned top AI tools because there's so many out there. And I know many of you have played with many more than this, but I just wanted to mention the first that are mostly known and used these days. And again, in the other could be a lot of other tools that I'm sure that you all have used in the past. Okay, so with that, and there's also going to be one more slide where we'll do the Q&A. All right, so the disclaimer is, this is a fear of many people that AI is going to replace them. Now, that can be true if you are not going to stay informed and up to date with everything that's going on. So AI is not going to replace you, but a person using AI tools might. And this is very much relevant for you guys right now as you are entering the real world, because you're the next generation taking this to the next level, right? So you're going to be involved into way bigger and better things than where we are right now. But this is the future we're going towards. And if you do not stay in touch with what's happening, and it's happening at a breakneck speed, everything is just moving and it's happening. Just in the last week alone, I was trying to, get some of this presentation updated from my last time I presented it. And the number of tools that just popped out was like in the 100. So being able to figure out what makes sense, what's relevant, what is something that could be impactful and helpful to you is where this is at. I have a QR code there. It's actually a page on my website where I try to keep up with the latest AI tools relevant for productivity. Now, I'm very specific to productivity, to time management, to business. And it's funny because I see it on my watch that you guys are hitting the website because I have an app that keeps track of that. So that's just another AI tool. Now, Dr. Seuss, right? Saying the more that you read, the more things you will know, the more that you learn, the more places you'll go. I mean, we grew up with that in kindergarten. Here's my version of that. The more you dive into AI, the more insights you'll gain. With each discovery, your horizon expands and your curiosity knows no bounds. So dive into the world of AI and watch your knowledge soar to new heights. It's a little longer, but the idea of this is you will want to look at AI as your partner, as your sidekick, as your helper, as your assistant. That's my assistant on a daily, because at the end of the day, I want to achieve more with less. And if that gives me the opportunity to do so, then sign me up. First off, let's start with the beginning a little bit, because I feel like I need to start with where it all started. So I'm curious, before we get into the big stuff, anyone wanting to share your thoughts on what is generative AI? Throw it out there. What do we find Gen AI to be at? No wrong answer.
A tool that compares the existing databases and knowledge, puts it in front of you in a way that corresponds to the prompt that you've given it.
Okay. So as we know, AI is a broad term, and it has many subcategories, because each subcategory is very much specialized to do a specific task. And to what you said, Gen AI is the standout in the crowd in the sense that it's actually being created and designed to create content, to reshape the way we look at creativity, very much like photography did to art years ago. Like, remember when we were just looking at paintings and then photography came and all artists out there went bazing. It's like, our job is done. That didn't happen. What happened is it enhanced what that look like? So this is what Gen AI is. It's kind of been gaining traction actually with the introduction of GAN networks, which is generative adversarial networks in, I believe, 2014. And it kind of become like a buzzword just in 2020. If you have been sort of in touch with what was happening, that's when models such as GPT-2, GPT-3, and DALL-E actually came to be. So unlike undiscriminative AI that can classify a lot of the existing data, what generative AI does is basically crafting new content. And think about image generation, thinking about analysis, think about video synthesis and music composition. And that's what is meant to be, is designed to generate content. Now, there's other subcategories, as I've listed over there, that do different jobs for different things. Like, for example, is managed by reactive AI. You have limited memory AI that forecasts weather. You have the theory of mind that powers virtual customer service, all those chatbots. You have narrow AI that works in e-commerce suggestions. And reinforced learning teaches actually machine gameplay, which is kind of fun. All right, so as senior engineers, you are very much entering this professional field where you're probably going to face with some challenges of managing project tasks, complex projects, and having AI to really help you streamline some of this task and do more with less will really be beneficial to your future. And I know that there's an engineering problems that you're in the middle of. Now, imagine that you can actually automate some of your other tasks so you can focus on those problems. And you don't have to do everything. And you can just spend that wonderful brain of yours into making sure that you come up with innovative solutions to design and product development. So that's what this is. Like, try to take off your plate some of the things that you don't have to do on a daily if you can have an assistant that can do that for you. At the end of the day, if you are getting to know some of those tools now, it will really serve you so much better in your future, in the long-term success, and also becoming adaptable to what this might be. I had this conversation on my podcast with an AI engineer that's been working on this concept, a new paradigm of what the future is going to. And he's been at it since the 60s. This is not new. What we don't know is that it's been in development for so long, and they were facing this wall until the large language models became a thing. Now, in our short time together, what I want to go over is just share a few ways in which you can benefit from Gen AI. I'll share a couple of apps, tools for different things. Also some prompts, especially when it comes to putting yourself out there professionally, getting that LinkedIn profile updated and ready for your next opportunity in your job search, or if you want to become an entrepreneur, even that's where the hassle starts. And then some of the plugins that you can start using today, I'm sure some of you are already using. And then we'll have a Q&A at the end. All right, so like I said, just in the last year alone, those are tools that didn't exist a year ago. All of those, beautiful apps that right now are just part of our daily life. I basically use all of those. And this wasn't a thing in December of 2022, but it's the future and it's the reality. The problem is now with this super rapid development and evolvement of what the next AI tool is out there, keeping it up with this pace of innovation can be challenging. As future engineers, I feel like you really do have to stay informed though. You have to figure out a way how you're going to stay on top of it and how you're going to use this for your future as a key to your success. Now, I was preparing, like I said, for today's presentation, and just in the last week alone, I came across a dozen more new AI tools. If there's a few that you should keep in mind for 2024, that will literally be the money printing skills to know, those are the ones. Like, take a screenshot of that, because you're going to want to know when it comes to being productive, but also creative and putting what you're working on out there in a way that is received well and it reaches the target audience that you're looking for. So here's where time saving is at. Streamlining some of the things that you do on a daily and keeping yourself organized. You probably hear this again, and probably your parents have told you this again. Be organized and you're going to save time later. But this is where I recommend and I suggest that you get familiar with at least one of those tools. I personally use Notion AI because it really helps me organize all my projects, all my content, all the tasks that I actually give to my assistants, and I got to be on top of what we started and what is something that's completed. Now you have projects that probably you're working on. If you know where you're at in every stage of this project and are able to keep it organized, some of those will be really helpful to you. And it will really give you that time back once you're able to make use of this. Time management and scheduling. Now, those are the top AI tools for management and scheduling. And probably, I don't know if some of you are on, Google Calendars and whatnot, but Calendly is a great free tool that you can really sign up for free for anything that you want to schedule, as far as like meeting with a friend, even for coffee. Like, here's my calendar, find a spot that works. When you're going to have a calendar that's packed, that will be so important. But then what's most important is Reclaim. Reclaim AI, what that does for me is I am very strict on my workout routine. I have an hour and a half to 2 hours that I work out every single day. And Reclaim finds time in my busy schedule and it will automatically put that 2-hour slot in my calendar. And I know that's blocked. And then you can create different habits. Like you have maybe, I don't know, different classes that you must attend or a soccer practice that you must go to. You can create those habits and you don't have to constantly manipulate your calendar. It will help you do that. When your calendar looks like that, like being able to find spots, like to have some focus time, to have some time to play with the kids. Yeah, I schedule that too. I schedule everything. Like my life is really by the calendar. When somebody says, let's meet, I'm like, if it's not on the calendar, ain't gonna happen. So that's one way to keep that organized. Now, when it comes to email management, probably that might or might not be helpful to you, but at one point when you're gonna get, your inbox is gonna get filled with thousands of emails and subscriptions and things that you never sign up for, but somehow they end up in your email. You're gonna wanna have that organized one way or another. I used to use Mail Butler for a while. I'm kind of more on the Gmail still. And I create a system for myself. And I feel like right now I'm like an old dinosaur stuck with my system here. So I give you a few options relevant because not only are they versatile and are they offering different features for email scheduling, tracking, templating. What I use actually in Gmail is a few plugins that I'm going to share a little later that automatically respond to emails based on the incoming email. So like I don't have to spend a whole lot of time thinking like what am I going to say to this email. And I love this the most when I have to say no in a polite way and I really don't feel like it. Because if you leave me to my own devices, I'm going to respond to some snarky response that's not going to serve me good. But now I have AI to say, respond to this email in a nice way and say no. And then I don't have to think much about it. Okay, when it comes to data heavy tasks, those are a few of the top apps that you can use out there. I use Google Analytics, especially for my website, but you can really use that API in a lot of other applications. And it might not be something that you're necessarily concerned with right now, but you will be in the future. Because whatever you're working on, you're going to want to figure out if that is providing you with an ROI. And that is related to, patterns, trends, actionable insights from complex data sets, and all the things that will empower your decision making in the future. So there is that. And then here's another fun one, because I felt like when it comes to digital content discovery, and this is not TikTok and Instagram, or even there, but say you're interested in what's the latest trends in mechanical engineering, And you want that to be curated in a way that is very specific. Like I follow what's the latest trends in AI and machine learning. And one of those apps, and each one of those actually are pretty good. I use Feedly. They are great at saving you time because it will go through different sources and you will kind of create this list, almost like an RSS feed. And it will just send you the things that you are interested in. Okay. Personal financial management, I could not put this up there because you're all going to have to deal with managing your money one way or another. And the earlier you start, the better habits you're going to implement. I've used Mint for many years before actually it was AI enhanced. And it gives me suggestions based on my personal history and based on the data that I built for it for all those years. But it really gives you this holistic view of where your money is going and what is it doing for you. Because you must know what the money is doing for you. Otherwise, you're going to be like working for it instead of money working for you. So keep that in mind. And there's more to be said there, but having bank accounts, investments, credit lines, all of that should be managed in one place. So you should know where it's at. Okay, so while we have all been obsessed with ChatGPT and large language models, the truth is that we owe a lot of the current state of the AI union to image generators. There's artists that actually have used image generator computer software since the 1950s. But really what the major breakout has been is 2014. Like I said, when the invention of GANs became a thing. And how that works is there's this two parts of a program. One is the generator and the other one is discriminator. So those two parts of the program would work against each other. One part would make an image and the other part would judge it. And the setup was great for creating very realistic images, but was also very tricky to manage and it was kind of unpredictable. In 2020, a new method came about and that was diffusion models that really helped with creating this canvas of chaos, but through the use of prompts, the image would get refined and aligned to the content that the prompt would ask. So for example, for this one particular image, created in Midjourney, I use that little prompt to get this uni dragon. And actually that prompt came from my 7-year-old daughter. I asked her, what would you like to create? Like if you could create any creature out there, what would it be? And she came up with this unicorn mixed with a fiery dragon in a magical forest. And I'm going to have a few renditions of this. It was beautiful. Now, in December of 2020, we had 3 primary diffusion models. We had Stable Diffusion, we had Midjourney, which stood out very much for aesthetics. I'm still a fan of Midjourney, even though ChatGPT makes it so easy right now with DALL-E being part of it. And DALL-E was very much renowned and still is for editing capabilities. Like you can re-edit and you can use features such as in-painting and out-painting. And I'm going to go a little bit over those features as well, which really allows you as a creative to do a lot of modifications on generated images, which is something new that didn't exist just a few, years ago. So that's like another rendition of the same uni dragon. Here's the point that I'm trying to make here. Data can be very compelling, but the point of data is to solve complex problems. And at the end of the day, as we go into the future, we are going to be bombarded. We already are bombarded with data from all directions, which accelerates at a speed that it's hard to keep. Now, what's going to stand out is the storytelling behind the data. What is the story behind this unicorn? Like you're going to remember that it was created by a 7-year-old curious child that she didn't have any limit on her imagination. It's kind of amazing, but also terrifying all at once if you're looking at it. But if you think about it, what's more likely to get your attention? Say an insurance ad that explains how inexpensive life cover is, or maybe someone that paints a picture that if you do not have insurance, you will be affected, your family will be affected, and you're going to get doomed in case of an accident, right? So there's the storytelling that will tell you, oh gosh, maybe I do need life insurance versus this ad that just goes in numbers, right? So my encouragement is to let your mind wander, because that's a great way to discover creative ideas. And that means even if you're an engineering mind and your mind is just like data focused and numbers focused, you can still be a creative. And some of the most brilliant minds out there, like think of Mozart. For example, there's an example about Mozart starting one of his major compositions while he was taking a walk. Or, Albert Einstein that credits his daydreaming for helping him develop the theory of relativity. I mean, probably some of us won't be daydreaming such big, major life-changing things, but we should definitely attempt to. All right, so here's are some significant advancements that in image generation applications. And the reason why I bring this up is because even though you're an engineer, as you are working on this project in SolidWorks, you are going to create things, products, something that will come out of your hands that we are going to be using into the future. The text to image and image sketch to image generation is a new thing. Editing, again, of generated images, background removal, in painting for photo restoration and manipulation. Those are all advancements that have happened just in the last few months alone. Outpainting is basically expanding the image boundaries and creating wider scenes. And that's something that Midjourney is good at. And then we have an image analysis. Hugging Face cross model has been able to stand out by the way they enable users to find images using just text prompts and vice versa. Another thing that has happened in the recent months alone has been this innovative products in digital design, Adobe Firefly, Ideogram AI, DALL-E 3, which has led the way into text to typography. This is a new thing. This is not something that existed just months ago. There is 𝗬𝗍𝗟𝗡's new product is actually something that really is changing the filmmaking industry, and it's providing high quality layered images for life-size screens. Is something that you're going to see in movie productions moving forward. And then we have Midjourney that introduced the style control and matching features, which basically allows an artist to replicate specific visual styles, making sure that the aesthetics are consistent across various design. So those are just some of the things that have happened just in the recent months alone. Then we have Gen AI has been just evolving at such a fast pace. We're talking about developments that are grounded in academic research and beta releases. And some of those are really offering a glimpse into the future. For example, look at LookXI, which merges parametric models with generative skins for architectural design. And you have Finch, which uses basically discriminative AI for design optimization, considering factors like daylight and sustainability. And then in 3D modeling, we're looking at Google's Dream Fusion and OpenAI Point E, which are leading the way in text to 3D object creation. And then NVIDIA, if you're a gamer, you might actually be curious about the fact that they collaborate with Shutterstock on Magic 3D to create the most comprehensive text to 3D model generator using TurboSquid resources. And if you're not a gamer, you're like, I have no idea what you just said. But if you are, you know what I mean. All right. And then the last thing here is basically image generation. There's a lot of things that are happening. One of the coolest things, I guess, is that large vision models, LVMs, are being developed for accuracy in domains such as engineering, manufacturing, life sciences. They even provide ways where they can scan for cancer, like in a full body scan. The reason why this is important is because it might be the future for mechanical engineering. And as a matter of fact, my husband is a mechanical engineer. And I know it feels like the implementation and adoption of some of those tools is a little slow, but it's something that will help you set a new standard of what the future might be, especially when it comes to your industry and some of the places you're going to go. That is another Midjourney, but that was created by my 10-year-old that that wanted to create this phoenix, fiery phoenix in space. I guess that's what we got for that. All right, all I'm trying to say here, although there's so much development, there's so much technology strides that is taking us into the future, it's crucial to address some of the ethical concerns in image generation, technology that are focusing on reducing biases and misinformation, and ensuring that the creation of responsible and inclusive algorithms that are ethical. Like, for example, if you ask me, okay, you created this beautiful art. Now, who owns it? Does Midjourney own it? Do I own it as a creative? Does my 10-year-old son own it? Like, who owns it? Right now, we don't know who owns it. There's some beautiful art that's being created in the digital realm, and there's no guarantee that you as the creator will get the credit for it. And that's just some of the ethical implications that we're talking about here. And with that, I actually wanted you to play with Midjourney a little bit. Now, I'm curious, how many of you have signed up for it? If you do not, I would snap a picture of this because Midjourney is still not an open platform. You do have to sign up through Discord for it. And then once you do, you're gonna, go to Midjourney, get your invitation to get on this Discord channel. And you might want to, start with a newbies channel. But what I want to do, actually open it up for a second. And we might want to create something. And I'm open for some suggestions. I was working on this presentation for next month, and it's all about wellness at events. And I was trying to come up with an image that would be sort of like a yoga in a peaceful set. And I had this one originally. Actually, this was the image that I fed the Midjourney channel to generate more like it. Because the problem with this was like, it's missing fingers. And I'm like, please include fingers. There's some limitations right now to the current models that we work with. You can zoom in and look at it specifically. Like some of those, I'm like, especially when it comes to fingers, I feel like AI is still struggling. So then I came up with this. I'm like, how about we just have those prayer hands that's easier to actually show that the fingers are there. But how about I'm going to take a prompt and let's imagine something that you want to create today, like right now. Come on. Shout something. I want to hear you say something. Come on, tell me what we're going to create. Huh? A fishman. Okay. Give me a little bit more information about this fishman. A fishman that what? Wearing a Santa hat?
Santa hat.
A Santa hat. Okay, Santa hat. And what is the environment it's in it? Santa hat. Where are we placing this fishman wearing a Santa hat?
New York City.
In Times Square.
Yep, Times Square.
Okay. And what's the mood?
It's dramatic.
Make it dramatic. All right. Well, let's start with this and see what we get. Okay. Oh, it's imagine. I need to rewrite this. I think I was supposed to be. After my competition, I had these long nails. I'm hating them right now. I know, girls' problem. Don't worry about it. I need to get them chopped, basically. All right, now we have it. Okay. So it's gonna take a minute or two to start. This is the paid version of Midjourney, and it doesn't take too long. You're gonna see it. It's already starting to generate. It'll be fun to see what we come up with. What? Oh my God. All right. Okay. So we have all those. And now you can choose which version you like and then create variations off of this. So pick your favorites. Okay, so U1 is this, U2, U3, U4. So we're talking about U1. We're going to create some variations on U1. Is that what we want? Okay, let's do that. And what this does is basically it's going to remove this one particular image. You have it, you can save it. And another thing you can do here is super cool. Is like you can zoom out. And this is where that in painting and out painting function features that I told you about. What it does is now it creates more information around the image. Now zooming in, it's easy because you're like, okay, I'm going to crop it. But zooming out, it just means that it has to create more information that wasn't there before, right? So now we have more versions of this with the zoom out version, and you're like, okay, which one do I really like? And actually what I would do, like I would open it in a browser and then I can go and zoom in and see which one you like better. Go back, let's see where we're at. So we have that, but then we have all these variations that we created off the first one. So now you're like, which one do I really, really like? Like, I feel like those are really scary. Where's the Santa hat? I feel like we're missing the Santa hat though.
Yeah, and it added a beard too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the top right.
The top right. Okay, so there's the U2. And then from here you can go even like, right, we had that. But you can go, okay, so I really like that one. I want to actually go even deeper down the rabbit hole because this is going down the rabbit hole. And we're going to see what else do we get. And now you can make different variation based on like regions, subtle variations. You can upscale, you can downscale, custom zoom. And then another thing, let's see what we got here for the for some of those variation based on that one. So when I created the presentation, I have all those AI futuristic presenter. That's what I did. Like I end up with over like 30 images of like this one image that I started with. So anyway, it's a fun tool to start, like probably be more productive in something that you can use, you know, like for example, if I go back to that unicorn, yeah, this is one, like my original post that created that, right? So I started with that and I just went down the rabbit hole with a gazillion other versions of it. And then I was working on a fitness presentation and then I needed something. But then I was like, what the heck is this? Like, please tell me that's not. You can tell like some of those, you're like, okay, we got to work on this a little bit. Like, I don't understand what is she doing over there. So yeah. Anyway. Literally, you can spend hours on this and it never ends. But I suggest that if you haven't played with it yet, do that. Okay, so you've said that you've used ChatGPT. Someone asked me like, how does ChatGPT know how to predict? It's basically going to predict the next word based on what it was trained on. And this is a big thing. It's because we have chat generative pre-training transformer. That's what it stands for. And then obviously the next question was, what if there's no matching data set in the training database? Well, this is important to know because it will predict the next best word, but the content could be very much made up. So if you ask ChatGPT something and you get like this weird random answer that you're like, that's not true and possible, that's because of that. Now, one of the things that I like to do first, you can do this on your own timing. If you don't have ChatGPT 4, which is the paid model, I think it's $20 a month, you can still use the 3.5 model. Pretty useful as well. ChatGPT 4 does, the paid model is actually, it allows you to have a lot of plugins, which we're going to go into. I still use Bard AI, which is free to use. And that's Google's version of AI. And many times I would go and compare the answers that I get in between the two to make sure that it's accurate and the information is not made up. Now, here's a good prompt to use. Prompt engineering is actually a job description. It has just been created this year alone. How long will it last for? We don't know, but it's paid really good right now for anyone that can create good prompts, because you can go to ChatGPT and say, okay, help me with this marketing plan or help me with this solving this problem. But if you do use a good prompting either app or you know how to prompt engineer well, That's what you want to ask it, because then the response will be very much on point with what you're looking to find out. So a few of the prompts apps that I use to get that kind of prompting is 𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗏, Prompt Perfect, AI Prompt Genius. Now I tried to use the APRM for ChatGPT, and I got so frustrated with how overwhelming that page looked, like busy with a lot of stuff. And I'm like, I can't do this. So one of my favorite ones are 𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗏 and Prompt Perfect. And I pre-build my prompts. So right now, I don't even have to write them. I just go and click on it and it's done. The way that would look like, for example, if this was my ChatGPT, right? I already have a lot of my prompts already built. And you can tell I've been using ChatGPT for a while. And I organize them. This is what the paid version will do. It'll give you the ability to actually use GPT-4. You have 3.5 by default, but there's plugins. And then you have 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 as well, which 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 is the image generation that 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 is, only it's free with the subscription. But it's up to you, like, do you want to use ChatGPT for free and then pay $10 a month for 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏, or use the paid version of ChatGPT that includes 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 for free? So it's kind of like a give and take. Okay, so those are some of the prompts to keep in mind if you are not a prompt engineer, but you still want to get great results. And the first thing I would do with ChatGPT, I know you said you've used it. You've got to train it to learn your writing, to learn your voice, to sound like you. I post a lot of content on LinkedIn and I have a good following on LinkedIn, but I want to make sure that whatever I post, even though I start with the prompting and I would go to ChatGPT and say, write a LinkedIn post about blah, 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 blah. And I give it the thoughts and what I actually have in mind that I want to say, but it will create this crafted LinkedIn post that I can copy and paste. But that sounds like me because I have gave it the information. I gave it content. And one of those prompts that I have, and I have an even larger prompt that goes into feeding it pieces of content that I have written before. I have novels that I have written before. I would just feed that. So now it knows what my style, what my voice, what my tone is. So when it creates that LinkedIn post, it actually sounds like me. It's not like this huge stark difference between, oh, you used to write like this, and now you're like all emojis and like, what's happened, right? Like so visible. Some people use ChatGPT for Facebook posts and LinkedIn posts and Instagram posts. And you can tell from like a mile away that's been written by ChatGPT because it doesn't sound like that. Like you go back in their posts and you're like, oh, you have this tone of voice, and we all have different voice tones that we use. And now you sound like this. Red flag. So I would start with making sure that it sounds like you. And the way you do that is literally you would feed some piece of content that you have already written. That could be Instagram posts, that could be TikTok posts, that could be LinkedIn, whatever social media platform of choice you have, or wherever you write content or journaling posts, you can take this prompt, feed it, and then you'll see the next time you're going to ask it to do something or write something, it's going to start sounding more like you. And this is, again, like some of the prompts that I would have. And this is running through like me just giving it a bunch of content, and it will do analysis, right, for tone, writing, and all of that. On this side, this is where you see I've already have certain prompts that I've already built, including like cold DMs, like nobody wants to send cold messages. I don't have to anymore because I have a assistant that does it. Prompt 1, who doesn't want to learn 80% with 20% of the effort? Now, if you want to learn something new, how about you put this prompt in ChatGPT and see what it gives you? And I am all for speeding up the process on how I can learn new things. And I'm constantly learning, constantly growing. And that's really been my mantra for majority of my life. I want to know what's out there. I want to be in touch with technology. I want to be in touch with what's happening in the world. But if I can do it with as little effort as possible, sign me up. Another powerful tool is like, this is something that maybe you're going to become a freelancer, engineering freelancer, and you want to draft a contract. I freelance a lot, especially when it comes to AV productions. I freelance as a technical director, sound engineer, video producer, show caller. And you need a contract to be able to get paid for the skills that you offer. Try that, and I'll share the slides with you, and then you can share it with everyone else. So then you can just copy and paste. You don't have to like remember all of this. Another thing, this is super important for you, resume and cover letter prompting, because you're going to have to be writing resumes soon enough and cover letters and applying for jobs. And let me tell you, that world out there is wild. Here's one thing that I love, because you're going to want to craft a separate letter, a separate resume for different jobs descriptions, right? So having this prompt that you just insert the specific, like the title, the skills, the achievements, the whatever it is that you want to include. And this is from your resume. You're not just making things up, but you want to highlight those things for that specific job. Like if I have a contract or a freelancing job that I want to apply for, I would take this and be like, okay, this is what I'm going to be for this one particular job. And I want to highlight those skills from my resume. And I want to send this cover letter that actually touches on what they're looking for and what I can provide as far as solutions for them. And actually I have a big prompt here where it basically analyzes what this one business wants versus what are some of the skills that you have, trying to create that perfect match. Preparing for interviews. That's another effective way to do it in a way that doesn't take forever, and crafting effective emails so you can send those emails to whomever you're looking to apply for a job. Another one here, now you can also use AI powered tools to help you, like I said, for interviews. And there's a few different apps out there that you can use. It really acts like the interviewer. And I've been through a few job interviews myself. I've also interviewed many candidates and employees. And I'll tell you, making that first impression, it will get you that foot in the door. LinkedIn actually has a interview prep page where you can go and it will tell you what are the top questions that most interviewers, and this is based on data, that you will get asked. If you're in that process, probably you're not there yet, but I would keep this in mind because it would be such a helpful tool for you to have, so you don't like get your hair like tied into this whole process of like, what is this world and why is it so hard? I feel like this process of applying for jobs is so frustrating at times, because LinkedIn makes it easy to apply for some jobs, but then you get to some platforms where you're like, input all of this information that you can easily just extract from my profile or from my resume. Like, why do I have to do all this manual work, you know? And that can be so frustrating. And it's like, why are you making it so difficult? Why can't we make this much easier? All right. Now, if you do not have a LinkedIn profile that's active, because you're like, who uses LinkedIn? People like me use LinkedIn to hire people like you. And you need to have a LinkedIn profile because you're going to stand out with that. Not your Instagram profile, not your Facebook profile, not your TikTok. This is what hires you. This is where your leads will come from. And you need to get that up and running. And even if you don't have anything to post on that, get it optimized, make sure that it's actually your business card without having to carry a business card. And those are a few tools that you can use to make sure that you have it, copyright well. It has that resume and profile analysis, so it looks good. You have the optimization, and you have some AI writing assistance if you're like, I'm not a writer. And then you also LinkedIn own analysis, which will give you good data on what are some of the things that you could improve on, or some of the professional places that you should be in based on where you're looking to go or grow into. All right, another prompt here, because I talked about social media a lot, and probably a lot of you create social media content. I don't know how much you care to create a social media content on a schedule, but if you were to create a content on a schedule, this is a great prompt to get you started. And I use this actually for my business, and I have like a couple of businesses that I run. So staying on top of coming up with creative ways and on a schedule to make sure that I don't miss it, because being consistent means that you are staying top of mind. That is something that you can use as a prompt to use it. And then we have content creation, part of that social media strategy, like growth bar SEO will really help you with if you write blogs, especially in your area of expertise. And that's a great way to just create a blog and put on LinkedIn to create this portfolio. You're looking into the future. How am I going to make myself relevant for a potential employer, right? So that's a good AI tool. Then you have an AI assistant, which is 𝗪𝗧𝗧, that could really help you with a lot of the tasks. They just need to prompt it to do for you. For my podcast, because I have a podcast that I produce and actually produce several podcasts for clients as well, I use all of those tools from Noted AI all the way down to type frames. And I have a prompt that I use in ChatGPT, which based on a form that I sent to my future guests, they would fill this form, and then my prompt on ChatGPT takes that form information, puts it in my prompt, and it spits out a whole script for me, the introduction, the questions to ask, and I don't have to do all that work, which I used to spend hours on just prior to this. It's heavenly because now I can go to the gym instead of like working on prepping my podcast scripting. 𝗬𝗟 is great for transcribing videos and also creating timestamps, especially for YouTube videos. If you put YouTube videos out there, 𝗬𝗟 will transcribe those videos and it will actually create an article, a blog post. 𝗏𝗏𝗡 is actually doing really great as snippets. And I've been working personally with 𝗏𝗏𝗡, 𝗬𝗟, how to improve their product. And it can be a pain. A lot of these AI apps that come like mushrooms after the rain, they are in the middle of like making it better. The pain to birth this product is there. And I see it. Sometimes I would get frustrated with 𝗏𝗏𝗡 because like I just imported a video from a talk I did and it literally killed my audio. It was beautiful audio that I recorded and I edited. I put it in there. I got my snippets and it was unusable. I'm like, what did you guys do? Like, can you please go back to the engineering team and fix it? Like, I need my snippets to actually be audible so people can watch them. And they're going through those challenges as we speak. So some of those apps, they might be here today, but they might not be there tomorrow because they're all struggling to find talented labor and engineers that many times work for free. Just to make this happen because they're startups. All right. At this point, I'm not going to go into any of those because I don't even know what the time is, but it sounds like we're over time. You can take a picture or again, I'm going to make sure that you get the slides. I would look into those. I use Pace AI. I use Notion AI and Reclaim AI. Those are my 3 picks from that list. There's also more. Perplexity is another one. TLDV. All right, so if you've been in Zoom meetings where you're like, I'm not going to remember anything from this conversation, that is the tool you use. I get notes from every Zoom meeting that I join. It will literally be meeting notes. It will be who was the most engaged, even like giving me constructive criticism on like, you talk too fast or you shouldn't talk so much. You use too many filler words. And that it gives me like a little bit of feedback. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is the things that I can actually improve on. All right. Something else that I put here was most of the ones that I shared earlier on the other slides were free. Some of those are paid. So I'll probably start looking into the ones that say are free because you're a student, you're on a budget, you probably want to spend a bunch of money on monthly apps. Copywriting, I also threw this in there just because copywriting is so important if you're going to create content and you're going to create, again, scientific paper, research paper, especially for your project, end of the year project. Is helpful to have that assistant that actually can take your ideas and translate it into things that make sense in a way that you just might not have the time to do it. And here's something fun that it's a plugin. So I'm actually moving into ChatGPT 4 plugins. And that's where I said like paying for ChatGPT 4 is actually a good idea if you're going to use some of the plugins. And I wanted to actually generate this AI diagram, which used to be called whimsical diagrams for career path options for senior level engineering students. So it gave you all of those paths and it creates this mind map. Now imagine that you want to do something like that for other things. Like, I don't know, you want to get into crafting. I'm sure many of you are like, no. Anything that you want to create a mind map and some type of like, oh, I need some kind of a visual of what that might look like. You can create that in ChatGPT. And I'm going to go back to ChatGPT, and I want to do this really quick with one of your ideas. And when it comes to write plugins, this is where I have some of those that I use on the often, but there's a lot of other ones that are new. Find out what else is out there installed, and then you can also search. I love that, like for example, Canva. I would give it an idea and it automatically generates a slide, and then it takes it to Canva so I can edit it. So that's the store. But what we're going to do here, we're going to make sure that we have AI diagrams, and let's generate something, your idea. Like I want to hear you come up with something that makes sense for you. What do we want to do? A mind map. I'm open to suggestions. For finding jobs you might be interested in as for a mechanical engineer. Okay. And here's where I have those prompts, right? So they would actually look at it and be like, you can do better than this. So like, this is a good one. Like, I want you to act as a mind map that helps me find jobs as a mechanical engineer. I'm like, fine. You really want to be that smart, go for it. So it's using the AI diagram right now. Let's see what it comes up with. And I know you're like, doot, 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 doot. So we have this. Let's see if we can magnify that a little bit. Okay. So what did we get? I guess it came up with a job search, like where you could get started. Were you thinking more like job opportunities?
This is good. Really good job.
Yeah, that's where prompting is specifically to what we want to get out of it. That's a great example of like, okay, you can prompt it something, it's going to give you something, but is it in line with what you had in mind? So the more information you can give it, the better it can actually generate a response that might be useful to you or not. But yeah, it's something to get started with. I would definitely recommend playing with it. From here, I would go, that's great, thank you. How about we do this? Okay, so I think I should get back to where I'm at because I feel like I'm losing you guys because time is of essence. I don't even know how much time I was allocated for this. I'm sorry, Gray.
1:15.
Okay. Like, sounds like we gotta get going. Okay, a couple AI extensions. This is Chrome extensions. And I use Grammarly. Everybody's used Grammarly probably for a while. Compose AI. This is my mastermind email responder that I mentioned. That I would literally just say yes. And it looks sort of like this. Like if I were to take this email and yes, we're working on a wellness mafia. So see how I have say yes, say no, say thanks. And then I can even tell it like, do this. What it's going to do is read the email that was sent to me, and then it's going to pop up an answer that I'm still going to read and copyright to make sure that actually it sounds appropriate. But look at all this text that I'm going to have to write.
I definitely.
Yeah, me too. 100%. That is so cool.
And it actually took information based on what we talked about. And this is like, I've been in communication with South by Southwest to actually do a talk for them. Great, nailed it. Just saved like how much time just thinking of a proper response. All right, so there's that. And so what else I got here? I'm almost done. I'm done.